Sarah Becker. Hello, I know you're here. I saw you. Hello, sweet girl. How are you?
Hi. Well, I'm hot and humid in Houston, Texas. How are you?
Oh, hello. Houston's in the town.
It is so hot here today, and I'm just not been in site visits. And I sat down. I was like, "Ooh, my hair curls." That means humidity has entered our lives.
Look at my hair. It's fuzzy. I get it. I totally get it. Thanks for being here.
Yes, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks so much for being here. So, Sarah, let me ask you a couple questions.
Yes.
Have I prepped you with any of these questions yet?
No, but I was so glad you asked me because I've had a lot of time to reflect.
Oh, good.
A year ago, kind of, it's been a nice little exercise for me, like where I was a year ago, kind of the questions I had a year ago. And so we have not talked at all, no.
Awesome. So how long have you been in the bakery?
So my year ends this month.
Oh. But let me ask you this. Do you feel like you need to re-enroll, or was this year enough?
Well, I should tell my story to say why I'm on the fence about that. But if you want me to get into that, I design's a second career for me. I have a business finance background. And when I joined the bakery, I had really hit a wall. I did not have my own business. First of all, I was working contract for another person, but I was running all my projects like they were my own business. So it's like I had control of the projects, but nothing about qualifying anyone, what I was getting paid or any of that, right? And I just was so frazzled and being taken advantage of and just kind of hit a wall and I was like, I'm finally where I want to be as far as career-wise. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I am so miserable. So I, surprisingly enough, thought about it. I was like, oh, I discovered your podcast while I was waiting for my plane to go to High Point last June. And you were speaking all these things that were like I knew within me, but I had never seen at any of the previous firms I've worked in or where I currently was. None of them had these processes. So I was kind of getting to the point of like, have I entered this industry where things are just nuts and I'm just gonna have to get on board or I'm gonna have to leave. Like I just with the constant anxiety.
Because you were coming out of like a corporate background.
Yes. So I have a corporate background. I was an expat traveling spouse for a while. And then I came back, I went to design school and then worked for a ton of high-end designers here in Houston. So I have a lot of I've seen a lot of how other places run. And I really thought, my gosh, I'm just have to figure out how to deal with this. But I would really hit a wall. And the podcast resonated with me so much that I signed up for this Rolling in the Dough. Keep in mind, I don't have my own business. Like I just was at such a place where I was like, surely something here is going to make me feel better about myself. Going through the whole week and having probably a lot of the same questions people do about, is this dumb to sign up for this? I knew I was going to. I just didn't have a time frame. And just to know if it was valuable, if I wanted to invest that into myself, just all the questions. Can I invest that in myself? I just got to a point where I thought it's probably this, or like, I'm probably gonna find something else to do. And so I had a call with you and we talked about, hey, is it going to be appropriate for me to be in this if I don't have a business? And you had kind of given me the advice of if I had half a year in the bakery, that it would probably be worth that time for me. And so I went in full steam ahead and I just kind of went out of order. I jumped to the modules that served me, project management, all the things I was doing that was kind of making me crazy. And I was so faithful. So those weekly calls would happen. And even though I had no business and no question and nothing to contribute, I listened intently. And I do think so much of that I've really just dodged a lot lot of bullets because I know better.
Yes. I love
I've been going to church every week, and just and just listening and be like, okay, so I have nothing to contribute. But no matter where you're located and no matter where you are in your career, the bakery is full of 20-year seasoned people and it's full of baby businesses. It's we all kind of keep hitting the same things, and it's it kind of didn't matter. There are people in the bakery who have design degrees. There are people who have no design degree. There are people who are business minded like I am. And the people that need the process to keep them from getting taken advantage of, we're all kind of all over the place, but just coming and being faithful to those. And so I kind of did the modules out of order and which is really unlike me, but I just went with it. And I was just already feeling so much relief and in the fall, I started working towards, okay, yeah, I'm going to start my own business, starting the branding part. Like I was just kind of,
Oh yeah.
I started working through that. And I was like, okay, I'm moving into this. And we unexpectedly have a family member get really sick, and I was part of their hospice care. And so all of that blew up, right? My priorities changed.
Yeah.
So I'm only saying this to say, you don't know what the next year is. The next year can have something that blows up your life. And
Right.
pushed me starting my business to about 3 months. But you know what? It's all kind of worked out. So I've only technically had, like, my website launched March 1.
Oh, wow.
You've been in business. That's why, like, so I'm not a normal person would say.
Yeah.
I don't think I need another 12 months, but it's like my security blanket that I'm not sure I'm letting go of. But all of that to say that even if you feel like you're at a place where it's like, is this logically going to apply? Is this going to logically apply to where I am? It's kind of set up to where it can. You don't have to be starting brand new, or you don't have to have this seasoned thing you're trying to fix. If you can kind of be open-minded to, like, okay, they're talking about this. They're talking about social media, and I don't even have social media, but you know what? I'm just going to soak it all in.
Right.
Like, if you're open to being able to participate, even if you don't think it applies, it does apply eventually. That makes sense.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So usually the biggest obstacle is the financial. I mean, we're asking a lot. What do you see in regards to, are you making your money back? What have you heard from the other bakers? Because I get it. And y'all, I would be a hypocrite if I kept telling you to raise your prices, to meet your value, if I was giving this shit away. So I have to walk the talk and walk the walk, and talk the talk and walk the walk. But what have you felt? What have you experienced? And what have you seen?
So what I can say is, I think I got on here and you had said something about, even if you're a new business, it's going to push you 3 to 5 years. I couldn't agree with that more. From the standpoint that everybody's here because something's not working, right? You're not like rock and rolling and everything's great. And here in this workshop, something's not working. And so I think a lot of it comes from the confidence that I gained so much confidence in being able to articulate my worth that I've had really, when I started, it's kind of exploded. So I have been able, I think my first scope of work, I presented like a $28,000 design fee. And my first one.
No shit.
It was valid. And I was scared to death. I mean, I wasn't like scared to death, because I've had like 9 months of listening to why this is okay. I wasn't like day one.
It was like a baby.
And they've had some pushback, but we changed the scope, and I didn't negotiate my value. And a year ago, I wouldn't have even known that was like an option. I would have thought, oh yeah, you're right, let me help you, or whatever. And so I would have never been able to do that without this. And it is something that it's almost like you're gaining those years of experience in the program.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Like it's kind of like you're kind of fast tracking feeling experience, because I'm gaining so much from like listening to other people's situations, and the way it's kind of laid out, like scope of work wise. When he came back to me and had a lot of questions, I was able to say, this is why it's this, and this is why it's that. And and just be very clear about it. And I'm in a market, Houston's a very professional city.
Yes.
People expect professionalism. They will relax in professionalism. If things feel like they're put together, they're here for it. And I even saw in the bakery this week, someone had commented about when they presented their meet and greet, that the first thing the person said was like, oh my gosh, this is so professional and laid out. And that is the feedback I get every time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd expect this level of information. I feel so good moving forward. Like that, those are the things I'm getting every time. And I'm kind of a person that can enjoy the creative aspect when all of this is kind of rocking and rolling on it.
Yeah.
So, and I was to a point, because all of this was such a mess, that I was like, my designs were suffering. I was just so exhausted and burnt out, crazy hours, just trying to like fix all these things that were happening and I didn't know what to do with. And it's kind of like everything's gotten better. So because I've kind of worked to where these things are solidified. And like I said, the scope of work is laid out so nicely. I have yet to have a scope of work that did not move forward. I've had us move into phases, which I think is pretty normal these days. But I've never had someone say, no, that's it. And I really do attribute that to like all the steps we did to get to scope of work, qualifying call, or like, you know, how when we talk through the quality and all of it, like.
And what do you think it's going to look like now that you've had those signed, like the implementation and the stuff in the frosting and whatnot? Because like, how do you feel that's going to play out in your life? As because you've just had them signed, but I guess what I'm trying to say is the implementation of the design, the procurement, the installation, all the little things that come up in between, because it's great to get a signature, but implementing the other phases. And I know you haven't gone through all of that per se, but what have you started to experience?
Well, I kind of had like I said, jumped into the bakery and was like kind of implementing some of these things early on with my other clients. It has made it really clear and simple. I do think though, that's what making it easier is coming from a client, starting with the bakery from the get-go, where I have set expectations.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I do think that a lot of the things I was running into and the frustrations and all that was going on were just that the expectations are so poorly laid out. And, you know, I think as an industry, a lot of people think we're just picking out something pretty and like, you know, and when you lay out value to people about all you're doing, it's kind of made those the project and the implementation parts of it a little easier because you're working in conjunction with what you've set them to expect.
I love that. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, we're, you know, in my opinion too, another thing I thought of today was like, we are in an industry where like, there's so much out of our control. You know, lead times are out of our control and contractors are out of control. And honestly, like your clients' attitudes are out of your control. There's control in like the economy. Like we don't know what's happening. We don't know but this whole program has really taught me how to get in line the things that I can control. Mine being one. That was a huge one for me. I'm a product of like 2 educators who had 4 children. We didn't have a lot of anything. Like we never went without, but you know what I'm saying? We didn't come from this.
Oh yeah. Nicole's going to be on here next, so don't hang up.
Okay, good. Because that's the thing. Like money is a real thing to me. I don't like you're saying you really value how much somebody puts into doing this program. I value what my clients are putting into their home, what they're paying me, you know, the whole thing. So I think that a lot of it about the bakery too was just really getting my kind of harnessing the things I can control that help me deal better with the things I can't.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've got some comments saying your experience is super insightful. Appreciate your insights.
Oh, thank you guys.
Point. So thank you for sharing. Is there any final words of wisdom that you would want to leave the audience with?
Well, I think that I would say that I get that the investment is scary, and that's how you have to think about it. You have to think about it as being an investment. And I just looked at it kind of as this isn't going to get better on its own. Like, you know, like they say, what is the insanity? Keep doing the same thing. I knew I had to get off the insanity train. And so I jumped, and luckily my husband was very supportive of me doing that. Now, did I make sacrifices to do it? Sure. But I've already seen in return, like he's even said, he overheard me giving a scope of work and just laying out some big numbers. And he said, you didn't even flinch. Like you didn't even like think twice about, and I wouldn't have been able to do that before. So as far as you making your investment back, I feel confident that as long as you make the changes you need to make and be really honest with yourself about, hey, I'm really not doing this in a way that's going to serve me or serve my clients, and you're ready to like embrace it all, then yes, I don't
do the work
is an issue at all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I'm getting nothing for saying all these things, guys.
I know.
But I do feel strongly about it. And it was kind of funny because when Hallie sent the email to, you know, hey, would you want to share? I thought, well, what would I share? And then when I started reflecting and thinking like, oh, you know, like it's been tremendous what's happened in the last year. So,
and that's just, we're regular people. Like I'm a regular person. You're a regular person. We're all regular people. We're just following this recipe that provides a solution.
Absolutely. And also you talk about not control. We can't control what the next year will be, right? But it's still as imperfect as my world has been, like my year was, as far as how it was going to happen, it still really worked. And so that's kind of the other piece that I would want somebody to take from this is that we can't predict anything, but I really stayed with it. Even when I was like, I could have easily said, clearly I'm not going to start a business in the next months. So I just need to put this to the side. And I didn't. I just stayed with it. And I think it paid off long term. So
yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's exciting. That's very exciting. Well, Sarah, I honestly am just so grateful for you just spending some time sharing your experience. And you're right, we can't control what happens next. We can control how we react to it, and we can control our own actions. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All
Bye,
right.
guys.